Yeah, Happy New Year's and all that, but you know what? I started this video at the end of November, but then I got cold feet because there's people who don't like anything other than positivity. Then, after that community stream they had with Tokada talking about the changes, I started it up again because those changes were actually so bad. Then I got cold feet a second time because I know these types of people would be in full force and ravenous. So I shelved it, and I created a rush job video on the Kinsect. Quite informative, but did not performative, you feel me? But after watching a video by MH Meatman, link in the description if I remember, please go watch it, I was reinvigorated. He's absolutely right. Feedback is necessary, and people need to stop taking feedback to a game or a weapon as a personal attack unless it is actually a personal attack. I think Monster Hunter 4U is peak Monster Hunter, but damn if it don't got inflated equipment prices, an obnoxious multiplayer focused endgame that's tough to solo, forced necessity to engage with frenzied quests for vital equipment, some weapons getting locked out of upgrades until their event quest released, which was a thing by the way, Silver Rathalos, Fatalis, all that, and the rotating quests. It's not wrong to say that that shit sucks, cause they need to know. Just like how I'm gonna tell you that these wild switch axe changes are dog water. I'll explain the initial problems. While Switch Axe was problematic in the OBT because the weapon had low damage, no passive gauge regen in Axe mode, only certain axe attacks filled meaningful amounts of gauge, sword mode consumed too much gauge, counter rising slash didn't mitigate enough damage or interact with non-lethal hits like roars, sword mode didn't have an offset slash, morphing was rendered obsolete by removing gauge gained by sword morphs on top of gutting its utility by hindering directional morphing, and lastly, the only way to deal real damage was through full release slash, which the entire kit kinda just spun back into. Yes, you can enjoy some aspects, but let me tell you, I have played this weapon religiously for years, and I'm not talking about, oh, I played this game back in the day, or I beat the game and stopped playing, but now I'm coming back. No, I played this game every single day, and I play this weapon like my life counts on it. Ask anyone who has done something long enough. You just know when something is wrong and how it can spell trouble later. I'm not crazy. Josie's not crazy. Kage isn't crazy. These two random people on Twitter are not crazy for seeing the writing on the wall. Okay, maybe this guy is, because he is Monster Hunter Wilden for real. These fixes accomplish nothing because they amplify the overall issue, and that issue is the weapon's game plan. Sword mode to reach amp state, full release slash, spiral burst slash follow up, repeat until amp state runs out. Axe mode does nothing but charge the sword, and Spiral Burst Slash, genning so much, incentivizes you to spam full release as a reward. Just like how Insect Glaive's Rising Spiral Slash trivializes the rest of the weapon's moveset and game plans, so too does full release slash. Giving sword mode more damage and knockback resistance on the one attack that we're practically groomed to spam is not fixing the issues that the weapon has. Crazy enough, there are people who don't like Rise Switch Axe because of its morph spam gameplay, but come on, it's basically the same thing, just flashier and wilds, and even stronger I might add. Though, the change that they made to the parry was pretty good, it was pretty useful. It's also not enough, but it's useful. These do not fix the numerous problems, and it's crazy that Tokada succeeds at getting the attention of gamers outside of Japan, but Fujioka and Ichinose really know how to make each weapon shine, regardless of whether you think it's too anime, despite being a series that originates in Japan. I think they're allowed to be a little eccentric and over the top, don't you? I mean, for God's sake, we've been having bipedal cats cook our food and fight monsters 20 times their size. Like, what? So, speaking on the reason that I'm making this, how would I fix this if I ever got the chance, or if I could directly speak to Tokada himself? We start with Axe mode. Bring back passive regen. There is no reason why Frontier's Earth style allows Axe mode attacks to restore meter and passively regen, but we can't do this in the year of our Lord and Savior 2025. You might not think it matters, but there are a lot of moments where Switch Axe can't touch a monster, mostly due to distance or speed, so you're forced to remain in Axe mode, sheath your weapon, reload, or wait till the monster finishes spazzing out or whatever it's doing. It was horrible in previous generations, it's going to suck in this one. Second, buffing the utility. Power Axe in World only raised part modifier so you could flinch or break parts faster, and Rise took that and then added bonus amp state fill rate, but then when you got amp state it removed the heavy slam buff, so kinda dumb. That was very stupid. Wilds gives the axe either a flat or percentage damage buff to axe attacks for a crazy short amount of time. So let's spice it up. Instead of just adding damage, how about increasing attack speed and boosting the effects of Wild Swing? Yes, for those of you who know, I am talking about Tempest Axe from Generations Ultimate. This can provide a new way to deal DPS while the monster is incapacitated that doesn't revolve around just spamming full release. Also goes hand in hand with this next change. Third, bring back file bursts in Axe mode. This was added in Rise, major improvement even though morph attacks in sword mode were the priority in that game. However, there's no reason this is missing since they seem to want Axe mode to be something. Meanwhile, we got sunbreak features on other weapons. Make it make sense. Lastly, dial back how much gauge Spiral Burst Slash generates. The 4 attacks that give the most gauge are Spiral Burst, Successful Offsets, Focused Assault, and any follow-up Heavy Slam as well as Sneak Attack Heavy Slam. Three of these are situational, and one is a follow-up to a lot of attacks. Spiral Burst can be used after a side slash, sword morph slash, sword downward fade slash, morph double slash, full release slash, and I'm probably missing something, but someone else tell me. I'm sure, but regardless, there are plenty of opportunities to hit this move off, especially after the holy grail of the kit, full release. Just tone it down, make it so that you actually earn the gauge through meaningful gameplay. Because when the full game comes out, there are so many combos that can be done for that. I mean, Axe Morph Slash into Sword Morph Slash, Spiral Burst, Morph Rising Double Slash into full release. Hell, make it faster. Directional Morph out of Sword, and then do that combo. With Rapid Morph, you could Sword Overhead Slash, right Rising Slash into Morph Double Slash, Spiral Burst, Morph Rising, full release, repeat. It all comes down to the quote-unquote finisher attack that we can spam. On to sword mode. First things first, reduce the amount of gauge sword attacks consume. Buffing the damage to make up for the meter spent makes no sense. Like Worlds and Wilds has the most gauge consumption per sword attack in the entire series by a light year. The gauge cost should reflect either damage or amp state gained. Sword double slash does less damage than doing left and right rising slash. Discharges are understandable, but regular attacks? Nah, squeak that back. Next, adding an offset to sword mode. Yes, most of the buttons are taken, but did you know, if you press R2 plus circle, you morph into axe mode while doing the forward overhead slash. If I can find footage of me doing it, I'll show you, but we can completely remove that and replace it with offset. Also, unrelated, why does Tokuda love R2 so much? And can we get the option to swap R2 for R1 like in Rise? God, Rise was a good game. Man, it kind of did and definitely don't deserve the hate it gets. Anyway, don't let sword offset slash regen switch gauge either. Let it generate amped gauge and not too much, because I may love Rise, but I know Elemental Burst Counter was Monster Hunter Wilden as well. It's got to be the same percentage value across the board because each file type reaches amp state differently. Third, there needs to be more interaction with the discharges. Elemental discharge can be followed up by full release slash. However, it doesn't affect the animation speed of the attack. Starting in 4, double slash into elemental discharge would speed up the animation, and Heavenward Flurry in World and Rise could do that too. It would actually make elemental discharge worth using if you could pop a full discharge into a full release at a faster rate. Oh, and only reduce it by like 20% if you try to quick discharge. I know there's going to be some people out there that would do that. Zero Sum, on the other hand, is so irrelevant in this game it's not even funny. Yes, I'm aware people did not like the ZSD spam in World and Rise. To be fair, it sucked mostly in World because you had to discharge early for it to be effective. If you went to completion, you were trapped in the recovery animation of sliding across the ground for years. In Rise, they fixed this, because Rise is a based game, and you can evade cancel out of the ground drag. And that's not all. Soaring Wyvern Blade could be used to follow up the attack for more damage, faster recovery, and some amp state buildup at the cost of a wire bug. Wilds it's almost there. They kept the knockback resistance added in Rise, but they also kept the world recovery. It's just not worth burning switch gauge on Zero Sum if full release is better and now has knockback resistance, you know? So add a faster end lag recovery, and allow the hook slinger to be used like Soaring Riverblade and Rise. Don't tell me that's excessive or too anime when Hammer has Keeping Sway and Dual Blades has whatever the hell that is. I'm pretty sure Soaring Riverblade is possible. Last subject, Morph attacks. The entire concept of this weapon is to have 2 modes, and old gem games like to act as if this could just be seamlessly swapped between. No, you couldn't. In 3, you had to use axe / to get to sword mode and sword / to get to axe mode. Sure, foreign generations added new options, but it was definitely not as seamless or situational. World improved on this by being able to morph in and out of every attack, as well as giving gauge back when morphing from sword to axe. Rise, blessed be thy name, gave us more unique morph options like morph /, morph rising /, the best directional morphs bar none, 2-stage morph /, and also gave us skills to complement them like rapid morph and file switch boost. Granted, these were not perfect. Rapid morph incentivized spamming morph /, and file switch boost allowed for morphs to generate a lot of switch gauge. Since the weapon had issues with base morph speed and meter related issues, you were entirely dependent on these skills. Rapid morph could easily suck up a whole talisman, multiple decorations, or an armor piece, and file switch boost could drastically affect a weapon's viability if it had a level 1 or 2 rampage slot, as you would miss out on other stats that another weapon could easily fill in. Imagine the tool of a thunder god beat out by a blind phallus surgery equipment. It's sad. Regardless, morphing needs more impact. First things first, let sword morph back into axe when empty. I don't care who you are, this was possible in older games, ain't no reason it's not possible here. Unless it is and they don't want to show us yet, we'll see, hopefully they change that, thank god if they do. Return sword to axe gauge game. Improve directional morphs by allowing axe to morph forward when stationary and sword to have omnidirectional morphing even when in focus mode. And stop making wide sweep automatically morph into sword mode. Why do you do this? If rapid morph does not make this move attack fast as hell, then I don't want it, because it's called morph sweep. Let me get my damage in. Also, have y'all noticed how fast sword downward fade slash is? Imagine rapid morph on that sucker, positioning and it leads into spiral burst. Oh! Okay, that's it. I'm sorry for being so worked up. The people who gatekeep improvement through toxic positivity make for little progress altogether. It's like the problem with progressives, you know what I mean? You cannot convince me that pothole water is better than bottled water. Just take a sip of this bottled water because it's better for all of us. Switch axe is a complicated weapon and it deserves to be developed under a fine-tooth comb or a magnifying glass. There are so many moving parts that each one is meant to work alongside one another, not just prop up one part. Anyway, I'll be back to the educational video soon. Just had to get that off my chest. Until next time.